Oh my gosh. The finale of Apothecary Diaries had me. Oh my gosh, dude. I was in tears for like half of this episode. What a fantastic, fantastic finale for the series. And yes, we got an announcement for a second season. It's like I'm crying over here because the episode is emotional. And then I'm crying over here because I'm happy that it's getting a second season. I could not be more overjoyed that this series is going to continue on because I have absolutely, absolutely loved this show so far. I mean, it had a lulling point somewhere in like the beginning parts of the second core, but overall, it has just been a fantastic series. And what a better show than any to actually get a second season. We get a lot of announcements for other shows, and it's like, why that show? Why not this show? So yeah, I'm really happy about that. But yes, the finale itself was absolutely incredible. I feel like most of the second half is to kind of settle things down for the conclusion of the season, but it still did what it needed to do perfectly. And I think that's kind of establishing what Maomao thinks of her actual father, which I think has been the massive question mark throughout the series. We always have how she's upset. And yes, there's a side of it that's kind of comically disappointing, but at the same time, it is Maomao. It's like one of those things where I'm like, that's the reason? That's the reason for all this? Well, it's Maomao, though. It makes sense because that's totally Maomao. She is, this episode of any solidified for me that she is truly Lakan's daughter. This episode proved to me, Maomao, whether you like it or not, you're Lakan's daughter. But no, let's get into this episode proper. Opening up the episode, confirming what I was kind of suspicious about. I assumed that what the case was here is that Lakan just didn't know that Feng Xin was there. And that's kind of a really sad part of everything is there's a side of it that almost kind of portrays the old lady as being sort of the bad guy in the situation. Because she kept this information from them. Like, Maomao herself is like, why could we not have told the truth to begin with? Why did it take so long? This could have happened way back here. I was going to get emotional. But I understand the grandmother. The old lady, the Baba. From her perspective, he destroyed her. That this girl, Feng Xin, she chose you and did this. And you, in her own mind, abandoned her. I think the old lady knows what happened, but I don't think she wants to accept it because in the end, it destroyed somebody that she adored. These courtesans are her family. As much as this is a business and there's a business aspect to it, again, she does allow a lot of them to choose who they go with. She does allow them to have love. Just, yes, in the sense of the actual house, it's business. This is business. But she is protecting her people. But yeah, it is kind of that little sadness there that she did keep this from them. That yes, Lakan did not know that she was still alive. He assumed that she was dead. So yes, the old lady comes in there and says, okay, it's time for you to choose your courtesan. You can have any one of them. She sets herself up. She set herself up for failure, and Maomao struck. Maomao best girl in this episode, that's for sure. I mean, I think every single scene that Maomao is in, she's incredible. Again, she's literally like Maomao's mother. But yeah, like this whole situation come out there, he's like, they all look like stones to me, no matter how they dress. But Maomao, she's taking care of me. At least he recognizes me. It's like, I see them all stones, their faces are stones, and then there's this one over here that just has, something's different about her. Well, just mention the idea later on. Maomao mentions that he does recognize like things like lips and eyes. He just doesn't connect them for a lot of people. But yeah, he's like, well, if I gotta choose one, Maomao. And at this point, I'm like, wait, so the whole setup here wasn't to have him buy her? Because I was actually shocked that, because if I remember correctly, Maomao said that you had to choose one that I said. I think Maomao set up with Maomao beforehand that he would go buy her mother. So yeah, when he goes to Maomao, which I think Maomao knew, yeah, he's gonna come to me. I'm the one, as he says, that she's been taking good care of me. She treats me nicely. She's been the one. And yes, she's been with Feng Xin the whole time. When he was with Feng Xin, it was always Maomao was there, and he always played games with her as well. So yeah, it made sense that he'd go to Maomao. And then yes, Maomao at that point goes, I mean, if you want me, I take my work seriously. I will go with not a problem. But choose wisely. And then goes over the door, opens the door. Old lady gets mad. How dare you? I told you not to go that. I told you not to open that door. I told you not to show that. And then he hears the singing and goes running out there. And again, it has Maymei's like, this is a setup. Old lady does not want it to happen. She's like, stop, get out of here. This is for sick people. Get away from here. Leave. Choose your one and leave. And then yes, he goes, yes. The obvious choice. I choose her. Now here's where it gets Oh gosh, I'm getting emotional. This is where it gets like super emotional for me, because as he walks up there, again, everybody he sees as chess pieces, as stones. But, and again, we established this in the previous episode, in the whole flashbacks, he didn't see anybody's faces really, except for hers. He's seen her beautiful face. And then here, specifically, he doesn't see her as she is now, which I think briefly it kind of gave a sense that he did. But no, very quickly, he sees the beauty in her. He sees the one that he fell in love with. It shows, you can see it as a thing of him seeing beauty in her, no matter what age she is and how decrepit she is. But it is an aspect that he sees her as beautiful. And so he sees her in that beautiful state that she once was. Yeah, it's just and then yes, immediately puts the stones in her hand. Let's play a game. I guess literally all that he wanted to do, and it was all he wanted to do back then, was just to play these games with her. And immediately she brightens up. This is something that she'd been waiting for, the one to play the games with. It was, I'm getting back. Fight back the chair. I'm recording, Andrew. It was super good. It was super good. And again, having Maomao break down just was like the nail in the coffin for me. It was like suddenly the waterworks happened, because again, Maomao has a sense of this being sort of a mistake. That keeping him from her, hiding her away, was a mistake. We should have told the truth from the beginning. Why so late now? This is something that should have happened a long time ago. And again, you have to remember that Maomao has been taking care of her, Feng Xin, this whole time for so many years. She's had to watch somebody that she adored, her family, fall apart, slowly basically decay right in front of her. And this is the one, and there's a sense there that she probably had to watch how Feng Xin was unhappy. And again, that was what she fell apart for. Yes, she got pregnant, she lost her entire status, and then at the same time you have essentially the entire house itself is seeing massively negative perspective. Everybody sees this is a betrayal thing. Like this cannot happen. They destroyed this flower of this place, or allowed it to get destroyed. She destroyed herself in that perspective, which is, again, it sucks, and that's something that I'm not happy about. I'm not happy that is a thing, but that is a setting, and that's what they see it as. That this is a big betrayal, that she should have never done this, and it affected the entire house. But yeah, she watched her fall apart, watched her go into insanity, everything, and so now to finally see Feng Xin is happy. She finally has what she wanted. Ooh, it hurts. It beat the crap out of me. But yeah, Lakan's like, this is the one. I want to buy her. That was such a great little segment there. And again, confirms my mentality there. And yeah, Lakan even confirms at that point, this is what Maomao meant. What she meant by the idea of a flower withering, but still being beautiful. This was it. Like, he acknowledged this point, Maomao set me up. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Super good. Super good. I loved it. It was such a great, fantastic conclusion to everything. And again, I love that. I mentioned it in the last episode, and I mentioned it here. I love how this was all one big, massive misdirection, because it portrayed Lakan as being this conniving, evil man, and even Maomao herself is constantly, this guy's dangerous. And now we finally, in this episode, get what Laman said. Now it makes sense why Loman's statement to Maomao before she went back there was not mentioned, because she said way back there, Loman said something to me, mentioned something to me, and that was what it was. He was telling her about Lakan and what kind of person he was. So at that point, they think that she's pale and tired, everything, try to feed her a bunch of food, and then yes, ask her what pretty much happened there. No, really kind of what Maomao thinks of him, because what Jinshi's realizing here is that, why did you do that with him? Do you recognize him as a father? And she points out here, no, I do not hate him. Because he landed that shot, I was born. It does put it in perspective. It's like a super... She basically explained it in a very crude way, but it makes sense. And again, it makes sense to Maomao's character. She's going to see this like medically and scientifically and realistically rather than romantically. She does not acknowledge, no matter what happened, I was born. Simple as that. So yeah, I don't hate him. But additionally, it kind of gets into the aspect that it's more of an aspect that she's happy where she's at. Because of what Lakan did, I am where I'm at. I was born. Loman's my father. I love being Loman's daughter. This is something that she is happy about. But she also recognized that Lakan may have been the one that was the victim here, which they did technically alluded into quite a bit in the previous episode. The idea that this is something that Feng Xin put into effect. Again, as I mentioned then, it was the fact that she knew, I'm going to get sold off. And she chose that day to grab his hand and take him into bed. Again, all he cared about was playing the game. Like, why did he get in the bed? She brought him in the bed because she wanted to be connected to him, wanted to have his child, so they'd be forced to have to be together. That was the whole key thing there. And yeah, as Maomao says, we have all these tools to keep from pregnancy. She got pregnant, so she obviously chose to. We have ways of getting rid of the child, we have ways of preventing the child, and she did not do that. Plus, they know their cycles. She knew what day to send him a letter, bring him in there. She pretty much put this whole plan into play. She was the one that did it. And yes, Lakan was technically the victim in the idea of, I wouldn't say really the victim's the best word there, but yes, Lakan was a product of her plan, basically. So yeah, she doesn't blame him for that whole scenario. But yes, she does technically note how flawed he is as a person, noting the idea that this is a guy that can't see faces. She gets into what Loman basically told her, that he basically sees eyes, he sees mouths, but he doesn't put it together. But for some reason for me, yes, he recognizes me, and he's obsessed with me. And it might be because he actually sees me for who I am. But again, really hitting heavy on the idea that this was something that he did, that her plan didn't work out, and thus that's probably why she went crazy. She harmed herself, sent the little finger of her baby, all that stuff because things didn't work out the way that she wanted it to. It was interesting that she did note that Lakan does recognize Loman. And I think throughout the entire, I think for the whole flashback area, it just didn't show Loman's face. But yes, it is saying that specifically, he does recognize Loman's face, does discern his face. Which does technically make sense because, now I don't know if it's before or after, but yes, it does make sense because he was working alongside him a lot and trying to help him work through this issue that he has. But yes, that's when we get into the big question. Okay, all this in play. Why does Maomao hate him? Jinxi's like, but you look disgusted. What's the deal? I thought you hated his guts. That was why Jinxi was trying to keep them separate and was trying to figure out things. He's like, well, yes, it's jealousy. It's all jealousy for Maomao. And again, it's sort of cheesy, but at the same time, it makes perfect sense. This is Maomao's character. All she thinks about is medicine and poisons and all this kind of stuff. And for her, specifically, there's two things here. One is how Loman himself sees Lakan, and the other thing is the fact that Lakan didn't help her get the resurrection medicine. If he acted, I would have been able to get that medicine, so I hate him. But no, she's jealous of how Loman sees Lakan, that because everything that Lakan does, he does it based on feeling alone. He just acts on things. She even mentioned the idea that the whole situation with the, thing come down on Jinxi, and he stopped her and helped her through was because he probably had a feeling that something was going to happen, and thus he let her through. He acts on feelings alone. And additionally, she does say he's rarely wrong. So despite the fact that he acts on without evidence, he makes predictions, he goes off of feelings and sensing that something's not right. With all that in mind, Loman praises him without caveats. And that's something that makes her jealous. This is somebody, again, Loman is somebody that Maomao really cares for, loves Loman. This is her actual father, and she really respects him. But yes, Loman always corrects her, constantly is correcting her. Do not speak on conjecture alone. All these things. He's basically drilling into her head how to properly investigate things. Whereas he doesn't criticize Lakan for not doing that. And so she's upset about that. And yes, like I said, everything around Kusuriya and the resurrection medicine and how he didn't act and thus she got away. And she wanted that. If he didn't let her get away, she probably would have gotten that. But it was super cute. And like I said, it's so Maomao, and I love it. So it works out in the end. But yeah, Maomao gets the letter from Mei, explains that he bought Feng Xin, gives her this dress, which was absolutely gorgeous. I was wondering when that was going to come up. Like, we've had it like in the intro every single time, and then it's finally out of nowhere at the end of the first season. Okay, let's have the dance. There's like a side of me that thinks they kind of plan that out, but it's like, yeah, you've been teasing that dress for a long time, but we finally get to see her go up there and dance. They do it every single time they send somebody off, so obviously this dance is for Feng Xin. And it was just, she technically notes that once she gets sold off, she wants Maomao to dance for her as well. So has a celebration. Even knows the idea of how much, like, they're taking like 7 days off, and how they have this massive like celebration going on. All these lamps are everywhere. He probably paid a lot. No, there's like a side of it's like, did he pay a whole crap ton? Like the old lady, and the lady probably charged a bunch. He's like, 100, 200, whatever, 200,000, whatever you want. I am buying her. You know that because of how she was so upset about this whole situation, she didn't want her to be with Lakan, but you know that she accepted it. In the end, she accepted it. She did follow through with it. She could have probably easily said, no, any of them but this one, get out of here. But she didn't. She accepted it. And I think she accepted it because Maomao was so broken up about this. And I think they realized when he sat there and they started playing the game together, it's time. Let her go. I can't keep hiding this. Maybe this is right. Maybe it is right that I give her over to him. But yeah, she probably still like, but I'm going to get a lot of money out of you. I'm going to get a lot of money out of you. So yeah, for them to have 7 days off and all that kind of stuff, yeah. It was a lot of money. Like, old lady probably drained him of that money. But yeah, they're having their big celebration. She does her dance, and then Jinshi shows up and, explains that he took 7 days off as well. So Lakan's probably going to take some time to spend with her, which was sad because, yes, Maomao is stating the obvious here. Despite the fact that Feng Xin is now with Lakan, she's not going to last long. Again, she is so late in this disease. It's gripping her to the point where she's so decayed in the mind. She's probably not going to last very long. But yes, also noting that there's a lot of rumors happening in the town. Like, who do they sell? There's this massive celebration, 7 days off. Did they sell one of the princesses? There's probably people like freaking out. Who do they sell? They obviously made a lot of money. Oh, but it's somebody that nobody knows. So you bet like every single person that's probably like scouting out one of these women are all just flooding there to try to figure out who do they sell? Do they sell my girl? It's like a massive marketing scheme out of that old lady. That old lady is massively crafty. But yeah, that's when they get into Maomao and her whole relationship with her mother. And this was kind of a shocking but also kind of tragic thing, because I kind of assumed this was going to be the case. They were keeping from Maomao that was her mother. They never told Feng Xin who her mother is. She grew up not knowing who actually birthed her, and that was because the old lady did not want her. She said that she was keeping on a wrap. My assumption here is that the old lady was specifically trying to keep the identity of Maomao's mother or Feng Xin's daughter out of the conversation. She wanted to keep it secret, but because people whisper, eventually that word got to Maomao. No matter how much you keep it down to wraps, eventually Maomao is going to be around the corner and somebody mentions something about Maomao and how her connection is to Feng Xin. But by that point, Feng Xin's already gone. She birthed Maomao. They kept it a secret. Over time, Feng Xin's mind starts to decay and she goes crazy because, yes, she felt like Lakan disappeared on her. She goes crazy. She's decaying. And then eventually, finally, it seems like when Maomao found out, and she probably went in there, that's when Feng Xin nearly tried to kill her. This wasn't just a nightmare. This actually happened. She tried to kill me. She was massively upset about this whole situation. And I kind of think that probably the point in which the old lady probably took her away from Maomao was probably when she cut off her finger. She cut off the tip of her finger in order to send that over to Lakan. She was trying to curse him. And so, yeah, it kind of finally explains that whole situation. But there is a side of me that almost thinks that the old lady was keeping that identity of Maomao's mother away from her and away from other people because she didn't want that curse to be placed upon Maomao. Because, yes, because of what Feng Xin did, it destroyed the house. The house was going under some massively hard times because of that betrayal of her doing that. And so, yeah, I think keeping them separate and keeping the identity separate was probably also for Maomao herself, to not have that stain of the reputation placed upon her. Because literally, and again, Feng Xin was feeling this as well, Maomao was a curse. At that point, Maomao becomes sort of like a curse to the entire house. Because she was born, we're having these hard times. So it's super screwed up. But yeah, I like the fact that despite all that, Maomao does technically push it aside. No matter what, I am the daughter of Loman. That's my life. None of that matters anymore. I am the daughter of Loman. Because this is the person that took care of me. This is the person that she appreciates. That's her life now. And I do like the fact that she is able to move on from it and doesn't necessarily deny her life. She just wants to move on. And that's a good thing. But yeah, then pretty much tells Jinshi, you could cut off the tip of your finger and it's just fine. It was super cute. And yes, they have a split in her leg again. Her wound is opening up again. So Jinshi picks her up, jumps down a tall wall. Damn boy didn't break his legs while landing straight on his feet, not rolling or anything, with Maomao in his hand, which Maomao probably doesn't weigh much, let's be honest. Starts walking off with her. She gets all doki doki with him that she has to tell him something, and it's because she wants the ox bazaar. I hated it. That was stupid. I knew it was coming. If you're watching that and you thought that they were actually gonna have a kiss or some sort of romantic like confession, you crazy. I think everybody that knows, has been paying attention, knows that was not necessarily a fake out. It was just an obvious fake out. Like, we all knew it was coming. She's going to say something stupid. like I need some poison or something like that. I totally forgot about the thing, though. I did forget about that. That was her reward. So obviously she's going to ask about it. But yeah, then it cuts to the J Pavilion and she's been asking for another thing. So super good stuff. The whole segment towards the later part, though, around like Jinshi coming up there, the little scare and she almost falls and he catches her, super romantic. A beautiful dance routine as well. The music itself was kicking in there. It just looked absolutely gorgeous. And again, it's been something that we've been waiting for a long time. Now, I'll admit that a lot of the animation shots in the OP where they had of her dancing was a little better. But again, that's going to be highly polished OP stuff there. It makes sense that it looks a lot different. But it was still gorgeous. I think the dress and everything just is beautiful. And yes, the princess carrying everything was cute as well. So it all turned out in the end really, really fantastic. And yeah, him headbutting her. How? That's immature. Oh yeah, she did mention that it was immature, but I like that because it's better to talk to him. They're sort of creating this chemistry between Maomao and Jinshi, and the idea that whenever he gets serious, she's off put by it. I don't know if anybody else has kind of noticed that, but it seems like every time Jinshi is kind of serious about something, Maomao feels sort of disconnected from him. And I think that was the biggest sign of that was when Jinshi's, that one guy, I forget what his name is, he was upset about that because I was like a mentor to him. And when that person passed away, Maomao, it felt off for her. And so this is sort of that thing that's solidifying their relationship, that despite the fact that Jinshi is an official, he has a lot of responsibilities, a lot of things on his plate, he's got all these things to do, they still connect very well whenever Maomao sort of gets Jinshi in one of those goofy moods, and then he's acting childish around her. And a lot of it has to do with her jealousy, a lot of his desire to protect her. Most of it's just him being jealous. But whenever that's the case, Maomao, that's where she feels like she connects to him better. He's not being the official and being stern and not listening. So yeah, it is really playing well into what could be the obvious thing, what could be their relationship going forward. But anyways, I cannot wait for the second season to come around, but that's my thoughts on the finale. Really fantastic into Lakan, Maomao, Fengshen's whole story, and I guess a lot of it with the Verdis house itself. So good stuff. Cannot wait for more. Got a little tease in this episode around Lalan. I think Lalan's probably going to be a key story point going right into the next season, but we'll see. We have to wait. I think it said 2025. So it's going to be a while. But anyhow, that's my thoughts on the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know about the episode. Just if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button's got my content. I do news reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content, you want to support the channel more, I have Patreon link, tips link, super links, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does. And y'all take care.